Hi everyone. Hello. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay, welcome to today's Actuary Boost workshop. I'm so excited that you are here and you're going to just take advantage of all this awesome knowledge I'm going to give you. It's really going to help you if you are planning to start looking for a job within the next 2 to 12 months. So pretty much within the next year, if you are planning to start looking for a job, this is for you because I'm going to be sharing so many things that you should be doing right now, or you can be doing, that are really going to help improve your chances of getting an actuarial position. Okay, so first off, let me know where you are from and how many exams you've passed, actuarial exams. Let me know in the chat. So right down below the video, there's a button that says chat, and that will be where you can put your comments. So let me know where you are from and which exams you have passed. I'd love to know that. If you haven't passed any, that's totally fine. There's going to be people here that haven't passed any exams, and that's totally fine. These are things you can start doing now, even before you've passed an exam. And actually, it's great that you're here learning this early on in your career. So please let me know in the chat right down below the video. There is a button that says chat, and that's where you can let me know. Make sure that you have your chat set to all panelists and attendees. So I see that a lot of you are set to all panelists. Make sure you switch it to say all panelists and attendees right where you do your chat message. Otherwise, others can't see what you've typed there. All right. So if you already put yours in and just put it to all panelists, make sure you change it to all panelists and attendees, and then type in your response again so everyone can see. Okay, awesome. There are so many of you here tonight. I'm so glad that you're making this. Okay, let's see. So just so you know, I am from Canada. I'm pretty close to Toronto in Waterloo. If I have anyone around that area, I'm right around Waterloo. Okay, so let's see. We have Mark in Montreal, another Canadian, awesome. Caitlin in Pennsylvania. Hello, Caitlin. Oh, and Mark has 4 exams passed. Wow, congratulations. Caitlin has P and FM. Awesome. You guys are doing so well. We have some from Miami, Toronto, Illinois, New Jersey. Wow, all over the place. I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay, we are going to get started in just a few minutes. Oh, it's 6:01 now, so I guess we can get started right now. Connecticut, Toronto, Wisconsin. Awesome. Okay, I'm so glad you guys are here. This is going to really, really help improve your chances of getting an actuarial job in the next year or so. I'm going to be sharing 3 really important things that you can start doing like right now, today, that are going to help improve your chances of getting a job. And even if you don't have any exams passed yet, that's totally fine. You will pass an exam or 2. And if you start doing these things now, you're going to just be able to keep them up while you're studying for exams. And it's going to really help you be a top candidate or at the end, once you've passed a couple exams. So I'm really glad if you are learning this stuff early. Okay. So let me get this sorted out here. Okay, so I know you are here because you want to be an actuary. I know many of you have worked really hard. I saw all those exams that you've passed. I know you've been doing other things to work towards your actuarial career. And really, I just want to congratulate you guys on putting so much work and so much effort into this, because it is a huge commitment. And I just think it's so inspirational to see all of you passing exams and doing whatever you can to just become an actuary. It's so awesome to see. So congratulations on that. Really, the actuarial career is awesome. I worked in actuarial positions for about 6 years in total, and it's just such a rewarding career. It's so challenging. The salary is good. there's lots of opportunity for advancement. You get to use math all the time. It's just so awesome if it's a good fit for you. So just before we got into anything, I just wanted to congratulate you and just tell you how inspirational you are. I'm really glad to see that you're focusing your time and putting in the effort, investing in yourself for the actuarial career. So today, like I said, for those of you that just joined, we are going to be talking about 3 things that you can start doing today that are going to help you increase your chances of getting a job within about the next year or so. So if you are planning to start looking for a job within a year, these are definitely things you are going to want to start implementing as soon as possible. And just, I know many of you probably already know me, but I know there are some of you here that don't. So just as a really quick introduction, I'm Bria, and I'm an associate of the Society of Actuaries, which means I passed a bunch of exams and met a bunch of different requirements to become an associate of the Society of Actuaries. So I started my, I guess you could call it my actuarial journey at the University of Waterloo here in Canada. And I majored in actuarial science. And while I was in school, I had 2 actuarial internships. So I have a lot of experience in different companies working in actuarial positions. And then once I graduated, I got a full-time job in a life insurance company. So overall, like I said, that's about 6 years of experience. So any questions that you have today, I'm confident I'm going to be able to answer them for you. What I do now is I've decided to quit my actuarial job and just focus on helping people like you, aspiring actuaries, to pass their exams and get their first full-time job. So that's all I do now, is just help you guys kind of follow the path that I followed so that you can just achieve the goal, that goal quicker and less stressful, like have less stress doing it, all that kind of stuff, because I know it's a long journey. There's not really a whole lot of support for people that want to become actuaries, and it's just a journey you kind of feel alone on some of the time. You just don't really have a lot of people to look up to and to ask questions to. So that is my goal here, is just to help you achieve your goal. Okay, so that's just a little bit of background around me in case you haven't already heard all that before, but I know many of you have. Okay, so before we get started, I do want to let you know just that I have some notes written on my computer screen. So if you see me looking over there, that is why. I don't want to forget to tell you anything. So I've written it all down here, well, typed it out so I don't forget. And I am going to be asking for questions throughout the training, the workshop. So questions can go right down below. There's another button that says Q&A. So don't use the chat option for your questions. You can put any questions in the Q&A box right down below. There's a button there that says Q&A. And that's where I'll be taking questions from. Now, I really ask that you try to keep your questions related to what I've talked about, because those are the questions that I'm going to pick to answer. So try to keep them as closely as possible related to what I've talked about and not just random questions. At the very end, if we have time, I will answer some questions that maybe aren't so related to what I talked about today. Make sure you grab a pen and a paper if you haven't already. I think there are going to be some things you want to write down today. And if you are distracted doing other things, checking your phone, have other tabs open, close those so you can just focus on this. Okay. So first off, I know many of you are already in the Actuary Accelerator community. So really quickly, like I was giving away 1 free month in the Actuary Accelerator community for anyone that joined. The first 40 people that signed up to get their first free month, you guys got in. There's still a few left, not very many, probably 6 or 7 left of those. I will tell you how to get them if you haven't already got in, but I am going to share my screen quickly for those of you that have already claimed it, so you know how to log in, because I am going to be referencing that quite a bit today. I have so many resources for aspiring actuaries in the Actuary Accelerator community. So I want to make sure that I show you where all those resources are as we go through today's workshop. Okay, So really quickly here, and I should have had this already, but I completely forgot to do that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you right now. Share. Okay. So if you go to etchedactuarial.com, ETCHED actuarial.com, right here at the top, you're going to see a button that says login. Mine says logged in out right now because I'm already logged in, but that's where you can go to log into your Actuary Accelerator community account if you've already got your free month. If you haven't got your free month, you can do that at etchedactuarial.com/free month. Okay, so you can just go here, click the join the AAC for free. And I will show you this again later, but there are only a few spots left because I only had 40 coupon codes. You can click this button there. And then right here, it says have a coupon, and you can just put in now 40. And then when you click out of that box, you're going to see that it applies a 1 month free, and then it's $39 per month afterwards. So then you can just put in your payment information there and you will get instant access. Okay, so that was for anyone that hasn't joined yet or has already joined and wants to get logged in. Now I'm going to stop sharing that. Stop sharing. Okay, there we go. I will put a link to that in the chat just in case you didn't get that. Okay. So right now in the chat, I'm going to put a link to where you can go to get your free trial if you want to get that during today's training. Remember, there are only a few left. Okay, so let's get started here. Give me a TU for thumbs up in the chat if you are ready to get going. TU, thumbs up. Okay. Okay, awesome. Lots of thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So let's get going. Okay, these tips are in no particular order. I'm going to go through each one and ask if you guys have any questions after each one. So let's start with the first one. It is to become an Excel ninja, okay? So that means that you have to know Excel really, really well. If you've followed me for a while on my YouTube channel or maybe on Facebook, or maybe my blog or emails, anywhere you follow me, you probably know that Excel is really, really, really important for actuarial positions. You need to know how to use it really well, because when I was working in actuarial positions, every single one of them required me to use Excel, and I probably used it about 99% of my days at work. So it's critical that you know how to use Excel. Okay, so most of you already know that. You know that you've got to know how to use Excel. But the problem here is that most people just take a course in Excel and they put that on their resume, and that's the only exposure that they have to Excel. But my tip here for you is to actually go and start using Excel in real world scenarios, like outside of a course, outside of projects, outside of school, in real world situations. So there's so many places where you can start using Excel, but if you get real life exposure to different Excel projects and just using Excel in different areas of like real world situations, I'm not sure how to word what I'm trying to say here, but if you get that real world experience, it's really going to help you stand out, because most people don't have that. Most people have just taken an Excel course and maybe done some projects, but it's transferring your knowledge from a course to real world situations it's difficult. It takes some practice, and you don't want to be your first real exposure to Excel. You don't want that to be when you start your first job. So I highly recommend you start using Excel in real world situations. So there are several things you can do to learn Excel, or not to learn it. There's courses to learn Excel. I'll actually show you in the Accelerator community. There's a whole course about Excel, takes you from beginner to advanced, and even teaches you some VBA. VBA is a programming language that allows you to automate tasks in Excel. So I'll show you that. VBA is also pretty important to know, but Excel is even more important. So some places that you can start applying your Excel knowledge to real world situations are maybe at your current job. So I know many of you are working right now and maybe not using much Excel, but your job may allow for opportunities where you could start using Excel. And you might have to be creative. You might have to think outside the box of where you could start using Excel. But even if you just start using it a little bit every day, it's really going to help. Maybe there are some projects that you could do that are on your own time, but for your company or something like that. Another thing you can do is just ask people that own their own business. I'm guessing you probably know some people that have their own business, and a lot of them use Excel. Excel is a really popular tool in all industries almost. So they may have some projects that you could do in Excel for them. And that's a really good way to start because you already probably have a fairly good relationship with that person. So they're not going there, and they know your skill level and all that kind of stuff. So they're not going to be really hard on you. They'll give you the time that you need. They'll be understanding of any mistakes and stuff like that. And they'll also be able to provide you with some good criticism or things like that so that you can improve your ability to use Excel and maybe create reports and stuff like that. Another really good place you can go or websites are called freelancing websites. And if you haven't heard of freelancing before, basically this is kind of someone, usually it's an entrepreneur, a business owner, hiring someone for a specific project. And they have a lot of projects that require Excel. So you could potentially do freelancing for companies all over the world that need Excel related projects done. And I'm going to show you some websites where you can go and do that too. So those are some really good places to start. And this is going to really give you an upper hand, like an advantage when you start applying to actuarial positions, because like I said, most people just have taken an Excel course. And if you want to rise above the competition, you have to apply these skills in real scenarios, in the real world. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you and show you some of those websites that you can go to do freelancing on, because I think this is a really, really good way to get lots of exposure to different projects and just be able to use your skills a lot. Okay, so let me share my screen with you here. Okay. So this website here is called freelancer.ca. And this one in particular, I have never actually used, but it's a reputable website. So what you'd have to do is just sign up. You would sign up as someone that wants projects, not because some people can sign up and want to post projects for other people to do. And some people can sign up wanting to complete projects for people. And these are all paid too, by the way. So if you go to browse jobs, you can just put in a keyword here, like Excel, and then just press enter. And Excel, oh, just a second here. What did I do wrong? Okay, I don't think I did anything wrong. So all these jobs here, and how many did it find? So there's 961 jobs here that have the term Excel in them. So you can just scroll through these and apparently you can bid on them. So there's going to be you and probably several other people bidding on each project. And I'm not sure how they decide who will get the project. Each of these postings is going to be different. They'll have different qualifications that they want, but all of these require someone that knows how to use Excel. So if you could do a few of these, it's really going to give you some real world exposure to Excel projects. And I just think it'd be such a valuable thing for you to do to improve your chances of getting an actuarial position later on. So this is one of the websites. See, this one's moved data from 80 Excel files into one, and they're going to pay you $23 an hour. That's pretty good. So there's so many here that you could just go through and see what projects sound interesting to you, which ones you could do with your level of Excel knowledge. And if you are in the Accelerator community, you can certainly ask in our WhatsApp group if you need any advice on how to do something in Excel, things like that, because there are lots of really knowledgeable people regarding Excel in the WhatsApp group, in our community WhatsApp group. So they'll definitely be able to help you with that. And I'm in there too, so I can help. So that's one place. So definitely bookmark that to come back to later if this is something that you want to start doing. Another one is called Upwork. And this one is a website that I've actually used before to hire people to do projects that I needed to get done. So for this one, you can go here and go to jobs. And then if you just type in Excel, and it's going to give you a list of a whole bunch of different jobs. This one has almost 5,000 different jobs that have Excel in them. I prefer to search by title. So maybe put Excel as the title. And then you're just going to see all these different job postings that have Excel in the title of them. And there's so many here that you could do. Okay, so I think this is a really good place for you to start. Actually, I'd probably start on Upwork and see what you can get there because I have used that one before, and then go to freelancer.com if you want more projects or you're not liking this one or whatever. Another thing I did want to show you, just a little side note, you can also put analysis in here. And then you can find a whole bunch of jobs that have analysis in the title. And as you probably know, doing analysis, different types of analysis is a really good thing for an actuarial candidate to have. You're going to be doing that all the time in your actuarial position. So if you can get some exposure to analysis, different types of analysis and Excel in the same job, that might be something that you'd be interested in, and I would definitely encourage you to try to get that job. So yeah, lots of different job opportunities here, and some of them are really interesting sounding, like a YouTube channel analysis. Very cool things. Okay, so in the Actuary Accelerator community, when you log in, so this is my program, the Actuary Accelerator community. That's what you could get a free month for. You can, if you're already a member, you can go to the resources by category here and go to the technical skills area. And this is going to give you a video that talks all about the technical skills that actuaries need to have, aspiring actuaries. But there's also a whole bunch of Excel lessons here. So like I said, they go from very beginner knowledge of Excel, not even knowing the different terminology that is used for Excel, all that kind of stuff. So I explain everything from the very beginning all the way to advanced Excel. And there's even some VBA lessons in there as well. So like I said, VBA is a programming language that you can use to automate tasks in Excel. And this is a really important programming language to know because since you are using Excel all the time, it's really good if you can automate tasks in Excel as well. So I do highly recommend learning VBA as well. And everything you need to learn that is right here. And it applies it to an actuarial concept too. So everything you're doing there is related to actuarial work. And at the same time, you are learning Excel. So if you haven't had any exposure to Excel or need to freshen up on that before you start doing these projects, on Upwork or for different companies or wherever you start using your skills in the real world, then you can use this course to refresh. And then also I recommend going through these 2 projects as well, because that will help you take everything you've learned from these courses and start applying it to like real world situations. And then once you've completed those projects, that's when you can start going to apply your skills for different projects in the real world. Okay, so I wanted to just make sure you know that resource is there for you if you're in the accelerator community. Okay, and now I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. Okay, now do you have any questions about what I just talked about? If you do, put them down below in the Q&A and I will get to those. I won't be taking any questions from the chat because it's usually too hard to watch both the chat and the Q&A section. So just make sure to put them in the Q&A. Okay. So Tyler says, how do employers assess applicants' Excel skills? Okay, really good question. They're definitely going to look at your resume and see what projects and stuff you've worked on, which is why it's so important that you actually start doing real world Excel work, because that's what's going to prove to employers that you not only have taken a course in Excel, but you actually have used it in real life, and they really do care about that. Some employers will do Excel tests. So but sometimes it's even just to get interviewed, you have to do an Excel test. And if you don't do well on the test, then they will not hire you or they'll not consider you. They'll take you out of the running because actuarial employers need people that know how to use Excel. It's so important to them. And if you don't have any knowledge of Excel, then it's going to really make it difficult to get a job. So that's why I do recommend you spend a lot of time on this. Make sure you know your Excel inside and out, and it's going to really pay off. Okay, great question. I'm going to take one more, and then if I do want to make sure I'm not spending too much time on each section since I want to just get through everything. So I will answer one more, and if we have time at the end, I'll come back and see what other questions I can answer for you guys. If you are in the accelerated community, tomorrow we have a Q&A session, so it's for members only. So all the members of the Actuary Accelerated community come together, ask a whole bunch of actuary related questions, and it's a really fun session. So if I don't get to answer your question today and you're in the accelerated community, then you can ask tomorrow during that session. Okay. Okay, so Yazin says, how can you showcase the Excel projects in a resume? So typically I would like you to, if you're doing real world projects, I'd like you to put those under your experience section, like you're really working for the company, because most likely you're going to get paid for these projects. If you do them on freelancer.com or Upwork, you're going to get paid for them. So you can just put those on your resume under your experience section. If you don't do real world projects, then you can just list your any like, I guess not made up isn't probably the best word, but fictional projects. You can just put those on your resume as well under maybe an Excel projects title or something like that. But that's one thing I did forget to mention is you want to make sure that when you do these Excel projects, you're making sure that you understand the total impact and the benefit that you are providing. You don't want to just go and do these projects and just do exactly what they say. Well, of course, you do want to do what they say, but you want to have a good understanding of like the high level picture. How is this helping the company? Why are you doing this? And if you have that information, it's going to be even better when you put it on your resume, because if you can, let's say you increased profits in some way, the things you're doing in Excel is increasing profits for a company, you can put that in your resume and it's going to make your experience even better. So I'd highly recommend making sure that you do have a more high level view and understanding of the projects that you're doing and how they are providing benefits, how they're impacting the company that you're doing them for. Okay, great question there. Okay. let's go on to the second tip that I have for you today. Okay. Now, this is probably one you've also heard me say, is to start working in a related position, okay? A stepping stone position. And I wanted to make sure I include this in here just in case you haven't, but I've been really trying to make this clear. You should get a stepping stone position. So a stepping stone position is my name for a job that is related to the actuarial career. And it's going to make it a lot easier for you to get an actuarial position because you're going to be able to prove to employers that you have skills and knowledge that is related to the actuarial career. And that's so valuable to employers. So it's called a stepping stone job because it's really difficult to jump from very little experience or some totally unrelated career directly into an actuarial position. But if you have a stepping stone position that's partway in between, that's semi-related to actuarial work, it's going to make the transition much easier. So that's why it's called a stepping stone position. So a stepping stone position could be anything that is requiring your knowledge of Excel. It can be something like an underwriter or a data analyst, maybe bookkeeping and data entry, those kind of jobs, maybe accounting, anything like that where you're getting a lot of exposure to data and numbers and Excel, financial matters, analysis, and all that kind of stuff is really, really beneficial for an actuarial career. And it's going to help you stand out because most people, again, they don't have that kind of related experience. And the people that do are often the people that are most well qualified, and they are the ones that are getting the actuarial jobs. So this is something you can start doing now. And if you have a few exams to pass still, that's totally fine because you can be getting related experience at the same time as you are studying for your actuarial exams. So it's really, really important to do this, and I'd highly recommend you do. I actually, when I started my first actuarial internship, I had two different types of stepping stone positions. So one was working as the bookkeeper for my dad's business. So he has a welding company, and he didn't have anyone that knew how to do all the bookkeeping for it. But that was something that I learned how to do when I was in high school. I took an accounting or bookkeeping course or something like that. So I was able to do all that for him. So that means I paid taxes. I was responsible for all the invoicing. I was responsible for all the income statements and making sure that everything was accurate. Just everything involved with the office work, the admin work, all the bookkeeping, everything was my responsibility. So that was a really good stepping stone position because I got a lot of exposure to financial topics. I was dealing with the income statements and the balance sheets, and I did a lot of data entry as well. And data entry, like just putting numbers into a computer or a database, something like that, is really good experience for someone that wants to get into an actuarial position. So I had that position. And then I also had another position, which was in an insurance company. And pretty much I was responsible for keeping track of where all the company's assets were. So they had a whole bunch of computers, they had laptops, they had telephones, they had cell phones, they had servers, they had so much hardware. And since they had companies, or they had locations all across Canada and thousands of employees, someone needed to keep track of where all of the company's assets were, all their hardware. And that was my responsibility. They had a database that was used to keep track of who had possession of all the different stuff, what offices they were in, all that kind of stuff. And whenever something moved from one place to another, I had to track that. Whenever the company purchased something new, I had to put it into the system and make sure that we knew who it was going to and all that. So that was another stepping stone job for me, and it was really beneficial when I went to start working in an insurance or in an actuarial role. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to show you in the Actuary Accelerator community where you can go to get more information on stepping stone positions. So I'll put that, I'm not sure how many of the free months are left. They may be already gone, but I will post that into the chat really quickly too, in case you want to get in here. Okay, so sharing my screen right now. Wait. Okay, share screen. Okay, so if you are in the Accelerator community, you can just go to the resources by category and then go to job resources, and you can go to finding a stepping stone position. And there's a video here that explains all the different types of positions that would be good and how to identify them, because you can't really go off of the position title. There are so many different names for different positions and things like that. So generally it's about looking at the job description and seeing what kind of work you'd be doing in that position. And this video goes through all that and how to identify them. And there's also a resume master course. So you can click here, or it's also in the job resources area, the resume master course. That's a 7-step course that's going to teach you how to create a resume that really stands out. And this applies to actuarial positions, but also stepping stone positions. So if you are going to start looking for a job that's related to the actuarial career, I highly recommend you go through that course first, because it's going to make sure that your resume is the best it can possibly be. All right, so that is all for that. Okay, so do you have any questions about that? Let me know down in the chat, or not the chat, the Q&A section. So right down below, there's a button that says Q&A, and that's the one to ask your questions in. Okay, so Will said, what is the website with the part-time jobs? Okay, so one is upwork.com and the other is freelancer.com. I'll put those in the chat for you. Probably easier that way. .com and freelancer.com. So those are the two that I showed where you can go and just do projects for people that have posted and need things done and they're paying for it. Okay. Okay, so Marcus asked a really good question here, and I forgot to mention this, so I'm glad you asked. What should be worked on first, Excel skills or your stepping stone job? Okay, really, a lot of the stepping stone jobs are going to require that you know how to use Excel, or it's going to be beneficial if you know how to use Excel. So typically, I recommend that you learn how to use Excel first, and then you can start working in a stepping stone position. That would be the order that I would go in. I will share really quickly here with you. If you're in the Accelerator community, there's this plan, or go to the 5 phases and go to the overview section. And this is a really important course for you to watch, because this tells you the order to do everything so that you become a top actuarial candidate. So right now we're talking about some of the things you can do now. Well, this goes even more in depth and tells you exactly step by step what to do. And then it gives you all the resources to do that. So there's kind of 5 different phases here. And depending on what phase you're in, there are different resources. So you can just click on the corresponding button here. So let's say you want the Rising Candidate resources. It will take you to this page that gives you all the Rising Candidate resources and just 4 modules. So you can work on these in order, and then you don't have to worry about which one is first and what one to do last and all that kind of stuff. This really guides you step by step on what to complete, and you just keep moving along, keep completing modules, and by the end, you'll be a top actuarial candidate. So that's under the 5 phases and under overview. Okay, great question there. Okay, I'm going to take one more. Mike says, would financial advising be considered a stepping stone job? Again, it's difficult for me to say based only on the title of the job, but usually anything that's dealing with finance and stuff like that is a good stepping stone job. You're probably in a corporate environment, which is also really good. You're getting exposure to just how offices work and all that kind of stuff. So I would certainly say that's a stepping stone job, but it is difficult for me to say for 100% sure, unless I see the job description. Okay, and also you can, if you're in the accelerator community, you can watch that video that I showed you that explains what stepping stone jobs are and all the different ways to identify them. Okay, awesome questions. We're going to move on to the next one now. Okay, so this is the last one. I forgot to tell you that I have a bonus for you at the very end, a bonus tip. Some of you might already know that tip because I told you earlier, but I do have a bonus tip, so I'm actually going to be sharing 4 with you. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the third one. Okay, so the third thing that you can be doing right now that is really going to increase your chances of getting a job in the next year is to start networking. Okay, so the more people you know, the higher the chance is that you're going to be able to get a job through your network, through someone you know. And this is actually a common way to find jobs. Rather than just applying to all the positions that you see open online, you can instead try to find people that you know that work at the companies that you want to work for. So insurance companies, and you may be able to get a job that way. So you can start today just improving your relationships with people, getting to know them better, and expanding your network. Actually, this is kind of how I found my job. Not entirely, because I did apply online too, but I think it probably helped, was when I went to get my first full-time job. Apparently, someone works there that had the same last name as me, and they didn't know me. I didn't know who they were, but Fried, my last name is Fried, F-R-I-E-D, looks like fried. It's not a very common last name. So when the person that was going through all the applications saw my last name on the resume, they thought of the other person they know with that last name. And it just so happens that that person worked in the HR department of the company. So I think there was some kind of communications there that said, oh, that's my niece or something like that. I don't really know how it all went, but the point is that this probably helped me in getting a job. It at least got me noticed. It got me in the door. That's what got me my interview. So it's still certainly possible. I see it all the time, people to find jobs on just by applying online. But if you can also start expanding your network so you are in communication and just are up to date with people, that's going to help you potentially get a job later, because you never know the opportunities that might open up for you through your network. So another thing that kind of happened was, this was many years ago now, but when I was working in my full-time actuarial position, someone else I knew, or actually my boyfriend at the time, he had a friend that wanted to be an actuary, and I didn't know this friend or anything, but my boyfriend at that time kind of connected us, and I kind of mentored him a little bit, I guess you could say, but he wanted to get into an actuarial role. So together we worked on his resume, and I didn't even tell my company about it, but I guess the company that I was working for at that time liked my style of resume or something, because they reached out and hired him, even though I had not told them that I even knew this person. So there's so many different connections you can make with your network. There are people that have skills and knowledge and other connections that you may not even know about, and it can really help you in your job search, because you know hundreds of people, and those people know hundreds of other people, and it's very likely that you can just make these connections throughout your career and your actuarial journey, so that when the time comes to start looking for a job, you have this huge network of people that you can get in touch with. and it will really help in your job search. Okay, so LinkedIn is a really good place to do this networking because so many people are on LinkedIn. It's known to be a networking tool. So I highly recommend you get on LinkedIn to do this networking. And another thing, your stepping stone positions that we talked about earlier, those are going to lead you to even more connections and a bigger network. So that's another reason that that's a really good thing to do. Now, a lot of people get hired into an insurance company, and just because of the connections they make in that insurance company, they can then jump from whatever position they were originally hired into and jump into an actuarial role because of the connections they've made. They've expanded their network and it helps them get into an actuarial role. But anyway, I wanted to share my screen here again with you. Okay, so if you are in the accelerator community, all you have to do is go to resources by category and then the job resources section, and then go to LinkedIn networking. And there's two really important things for you to go through. The LinkedIn profile boost, you have to do that before you start connecting with people on LinkedIn. I highly recommend you go through that course because it's going to show you how to set up your profile so that it is very professional, so that it stands out and includes all the details that you want other people to know about you. Because when you make a connection with someone on LinkedIn, that's the time when they're most likely going to look at your profile. And if they see that you are doing actuarial related stuff, who knows, they may know someone in an insurance company, and you just don't ever know the connections that could happen. So you want to make sure before you do connect with people on LinkedIn that you have a really good profile set out for yourself. So that is right there. And then there's this networking course that there's 3 videos in there that show you exactly how to do all this networking on LinkedIn. Highly recommend you go through that as well. And again, this isn't stuff you have to do all at once. If you go through the overview here that I talked about, you can see the exact steps that you should do all this stuff in, because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I just want you to know what you need to work on next. And that's all in this overview, and gives you what I call the accelerator plan, the actuary accelerator plan, so that you have step by step guidance on exactly what is most important at every point in your actuarial journey. Okay. So I'll stop sharing that. Do you have questions about networking? Put them down below in the Q&A section. Am I related to Max Fried? No, I don't think so. I'm not sure of any Maxes in my family. Okay. Okay. So Dylan asks, do you have any tips on networking during the pandemic? And really, it's not going to be a whole lot different than it would be otherwise. A lot of networking is done online anyway. So number one thing is to get your LinkedIn profile all fixed up so that when you do add different connections, you are able to give them a first good impression of yourself. You definitely want to make sure that's set up really well. And another thing you can do, if you are able, and I talk about this in the networking course, but if you are able to potentially get a phone call with someone, that's really something that you can do during the pandemic. You can do virtual calls kind of like this, but not in the same style where there's tons of you and one of me, but just back and forth with one person. That's another thing. So right now, there's not going to be as many meetups as there might be usually, but that doesn't need to stop you. You can still do phone calls, you can do emails, you can do Zoom calls, things like that. And really, I wouldn't say that networking has changed too much. Now, there probably aren't going to be as many networking events, and I have heard that there are still some going on, but they're entirely virtual. So same things apply. You're going to be doing interviews maybe like this, back and forth, where you can just talk to one person. And yeah, so unfortunately, everything's the same, but there are some less contacts, I guess you could say. Okay, one more about that, and then we'll keep moving on. Okay. So JD asks, is there typically any real demand for actuarial work in smaller areas, or is it pretty much exclusively in the largest cities in a province or a state? Okay, yeah, there's lots of opportunities all over the place. Some bigger cities are going to just have more insurance companies because that's where they put their offices, because there are more people there. But you can get jobs in smaller towns. Actually, in the accelerator community, I forget the link, so I can't give it to you, but somewhere in there, there's a link that gives you all the actuarial employers in the States. I don't think it applies for Canada. I'm going to put something in the chat. I think it's the URL, but I'm not 100% sure. Actually, let me test it first just to make sure. Yes, okay, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to put in the chat right now a link to a website that has a listing of lots of different actuarial employers all over the US. So you can get a pretty good sense there of where some of the most populated actuarial employers are, I guess you could say. Okay, great questions there. Okay, okay, really quickly, I am going to do one more bonus tip at the end, and then I'm going to take about 10 minutes of extra questions that I haven't got to yet. So really quickly, for those of you that are in the accelerator community or that want to get in the accelerator community, again, I'm not sure if there are any spots left for free. You can always join at full price. The accelerator community is $39 per month. It's definitely going to pay for itself. It will help you get an actuarial position sooner with less stress. And plus you get to do it with tons of other people that are like-minded, that are going through this journey at exactly the same time as you. So I'll put that in the chat for you as well. Okay, share screen. So just a few other things that I didn't get to mention. So if you go to the Start Here section, if you haven't already got into the community WhatsApp group, I highly recommend you get in there because that's where everyone is chatting together, helping each other. There are so many people that have experiences in different things than I have. I'm only one person. I've had a lot of experiences in the actuarial career and I've helped a lot of people, but there are so many others in there that are already looking for jobs. They've done lots of interviews. Some people are just starting out. Some people are partway through their journey. So there's just a ton of people from a wide range of different experience and knowledge. And we all get together in that WhatsApp group and just help people. So whenever you have a question, you can just head there and you will get an answer. Like I said, we also have the Q&A session for members only coming up tomorrow. So you're perfect time here because you can get in today and you will get to attend in that session tomorrow. And that's for members only. It's basically you come and ask questions about the actuarial career, anything you need to know that will help you get one step further. That's the goal here, is to just keep moving forward and progressing on your actuarial career. So that's something you can attend. There's a whole calendar here of all the events and different content releases and stuff, because I'm constantly adding more and more here to help you. So this shows you when different things are going to be released and when we have any special events. This overview of the five phases of your actuarial journey is something you'll want to check out as well. Like I said, that will kind of give you a good understanding of the different phases that you need to go through in order to become a top actuarial candidate. And there's a lot of competition for actuarial positions right now. I'm sure you've probably heard this, but maybe if you've came to some other trainings that I've done, but the number of actuarial positions is kind of staying steady. It's not increasing that much, but the number of people that know about the actuarial career and want to get into an actuarial position is increasing. So right now there's kind of this inconsistency where there's a lot of people that want jobs and there's just not that many available. So there's a bit of oversaturation there. And that means that in order to get hired, you do have to be a top candidate. So that's basically why I've designed this for you. It's what I wish was around when I was in this exact stage that you are in, trying to work through all the stuff that you've got to do and become a top candidate. So you've got that guides you through the steps, and then it's very simple. You can go to any of these, go through the modules, and that will guide you step by step on exactly what you need to do. So you don't have to worry about whether you're doing the right thing right now or what you should be doing. It's all laid out step by step there for you. There are also, oh, this is a good one, interviews with the pros. So I've recorded a ton of interviews with people that are working in entry-level actuarial positions. So if you go and watch these videos, you're going to get a really good sense of what it's like to work in an entry-level actuarial position. So I know when you're going into this, it's kind of hard to understand exactly what you'll be doing, but these interviews will help you get a better sense of that. So there are 7 interviews with entry-level actuaries in here. And that was right under this actuary answers. And there are also interviews with people that are working in stepping stone positions right now. So I talked about an underwriter being a stepping stone position. There's an interview with an insurance agent, an auditor, data experts. So these are people doing a lot of data analysis and things like that. And then a financial services rep. So these are also going to be really helpful, especially if you are one of those people that wants to start working in a stepping stone job soon. And this will help give you a better sense of what types of jobs might interest you the most. All right. There's a whole bunch of recordings of our past Q&A calls. So like I said, the Q&A call that's happening tomorrow, I've done tons and tons of those in the past. So you get recordings to all of those right here. And we already pretty much went through all these resources by category. We talked about the job resources and the technical skills. There's lots of exam resources here as well, which we didn't really talk about, but there's a whole video about how to study and prepare for actuarial exams. If you haven't heard before, I have another program where I help people pass exams, and over 2,000 people have gone through that program, and I've helped them on their passing actuarial exams. So that video kind of summarizes exactly what we do to help people pass their exams. So you can create your own study strategy there. Recommended study materials, a math Q&A forum if you get stuck on anything. So there's a ton of resources in here. I highly recommend you check them all out. And that's why I gave you a free month. So you have time to do that, see what it's like in there. And if you want to remain a member, stay in the group and continue to get access to all these, then it's $39 per month after, or you can cancel anytime. There's just a cancellation request form here. You fill that out and we get your account canceled. All right. So let's see. I'm going to take 2 more questions and then I'll tell you my 4th bonus tip, and then I'll take probably 3 to 4 more questions. Okay. So Vince asks, do you recommend cold emailing and cold calling? So this is basically just reaching out to people that you don't know that probably are in actuarial positions. I've heard of people doing it. I can't imagine that it has that great of a success rate if you don't have a process and like good emails and stuff like that. A lot of people are probably going to be reaching out to actuaries, okay? And they're busy people. So you have to make sure that your emails are very well written, that they just follow a good format. And I do talk about that in the accelerator community. Actually, in the networking course, I'm pretty sure it's the networking course. That's where I discuss kind of sending emails to people that you don't know. it probably isn't going to get you the best response, but it can work. Cold calling, I would stay away from cold calling and stick to only emailing. You don't want to just call up someone that has no idea who you are and just talk about actuary stuff. They're probably not going to be very happy with you doing that. So I do recommend avoiding cold calling and just stick to the emailing. But again, you have to make sure that your emails are set up in a way that they want to respond to, that it's not going to take them a ton of time to respond back to you. You want to make sure they're very specific. You want to make sure that you are giving them a reason why you're specifically reaching out to them and only them. If you just send a template email to 20 people that says the exact same thing, they're going to know that you're not really serious about talking to them. And that will really decrease your chances of getting any reply back. So you have to personalize each message and tell them why you specifically reached out to them. Okay. One more question, and then I'll give you that bonus. Okay, I'm trying to find one that I haven't answered yet. Okay, so Raphael says, I currently work in the financial industry as a real estate loan underwriter. How would you pivot my experience for entry-level actuarial jobs and internships? I already do a lot of financial modeling and report preparation with Excel. There's a client-facing component to it as well, where you're sitting down with construction companies looking to get a loan. Okay, awesome. This sounds like an amazing stepping stone position. So congrats on that. You're already using Excel, so that's perfect. In the resume master course that I showed you, that's in the accelerator community, that shows you how you can turn your past experience into experience that is relevant to the actuarial career. So with the experience that you have, there's probably many things that you are doing that are going to be relevant and important to actuarial employers. So in that course, I make sure that I highlight and explain to you what things are important to actuarial employers so that you make sure that you put on your resume the things that are important to them as they relate to the work that you've already done in the past. So I highly recommend going through that. Since I don't have for you, you'll definitely want to put your Excel experience on there. Financial modeling is something that actuarial employers are going to be interested in, so you'll want to include that. All the reporting that you've done is important too. So those are a few of the things that you'll want to make sure that are on your resume. But do check out the resume master course to get any information on other things that employers might be looking for. Okay, are you ready for the bonus tip? Put yes in the chat or put bonus in the chat, whichever one you'd like. Bonus. Okay, awesome. Okay, so the bonus tip is to surround yourself with actuarial terminology and concepts, okay? So let me explain this one a little bit further. When you go into an actuarial interview, you want to make sure that you know and can confidently talk about different actuarial terms and concepts. So I know this might seem advanced, like they should know, employers should know that you are an entry-level candidate that has probably very little to none to very little experience in an actuarial role. But that doesn't matter to them. They seem to want people that know all this terminology and people that can talk about this kind of stuff, actuarial terms and concepts. So, and actually recently I heard from someone that had an interview for an actuarial position. The interview went well, but they decided to go with someone else just because this person didn't have as much knowledge of the different insurance concepts and things like that as they wanted. So this is something, unfortunately, that employers are looking for and that they will decide on other candidates for. So I do highly recommend you start early on exposing yourself to different actuarial terms and concepts and all that kind of stuff, because over time, the more you expose yourself to that, it's going to just get embedded into your mind. You're going to start understanding things and being able to explain things, and that will help you in interviews. This isn't something that's probably going to help you get an interview, because you can't really, it's difficult to put this kind of stuff on your resume unless you have prior work experience with it. But it's something that employers might ask you during the interview, and you want to be ready for it. So these could be things like if they ask you to explain what a loss ratio is and how to calculate that, or what a deductible is and how it works. How does a deductible work? Or what is an IBNR reserve? Or explain predictive analysis to me. What are different types of life insurance? There are so many things that you may be working on and in an actuarial role, and you want to make sure that you have a good understanding of those concepts and different terminology so that you can talk about them during an interview. And like I said, that's something you can start now, because the more you expose yourself to that kind of stuff, the better. It's going to just embed it in your mind. You're going to be more confident talking about it, and it's really going to help make you a top actuarial candidate. So again, really quickly here, for Accelerator members, let me show you a place where you can go for this kind of stuff. Okay, so actually this whole month, in the month of September, in the Actuary Accelerator community has been dedicated to different terms and concepts relating to the actuarial career. So that's what we've been focusing on all of September, because these are really important, and hiring season is coming up. Usually from October to December is when you'll see the most job postings for actuarial positions. So that was from October to December. So it's really important now that members of the Accelerator community are learning these different terminologies and concepts and all that kind of stuff, so that when they start getting interviews in the coming months, they'll already have this stuff in their head. Anyway, those are posted under the intermediate candidate resources. And these are actually already included in one of the modules. So module 3 here under the intermediate candidate resources is to get familiar with actuarial terms and concepts that may come up during an interview or on the job. So when you go down to module 3 here, you're going to see some links to different videos explaining actuarial concepts. And sorry, the videos don't explain the concepts. They kind of, well, they really just talk about an overarching theme. And then within that theme, I go into depth on what all the different terminology and the different concepts mean. But these are also really valuable to watch, because they're going to explain to you some common issues that are coming up in the actuarial world right now. So it's kind of like news, actuarial news and concepts all combined into one video for you. So there's one here about long-term care insurance and why they have been needing to increase the premiums for long-term care insurance recently. There's a video here all about different types of life insurance and how life insurance works. There's a video about predictive models for IBNR reserves, and I explain all that terminology in the video. There's a video about deductibles here. So I'm going to be adding more to this throughout the month. Actually, one more video will come out, and I'll probably be adding more as well after September. But if you want to start doing that, this is the place to go. If you want to start learning all the different terms and concepts, this is the place to go. All right. So that is all I have for you today. I will answer 3 more questions. I have time for 3 more questions. I will take them out of the Q&A section. So if you have questions I haven't answered yet, put them in the Q&A box. And also remember that if you are in the Accelerator community, we have tomorrow a members only Q&A session. So it'll just be questions and answers the whole time. We also share success stories. So anything that you've had good happen and any progress you've made on your actuarial career throughout the past month, everyone shares that with each other and we talk about it, congratulate everyone, and it just helps everyone stay motivated and focused on their actuarial career. It's so fun. So please come join us for that. I will send an email out to members tomorrow morning. And that's really going to be just like this. I'll take questions and I'll answer them for you. Okay. Okay, so Chris says, what would you recommend the exam order be for someone who has a master's in statistics and no knowledge of finance, taking exam FM in December? Yeah, so I think you've done the right thing. If you don't have, I probably would have recommended you do exam P before exam FM, but it really doesn't matter. So you can take actuarial exams in any order you want. Usually you're going to start with exam P and exam FM. Those are the first two that everyone should start with. It doesn't matter which order you take those though. Exam P is more focused on probability. Exam FM is based on financial mathematics. So since you said that you don't have any finance knowledge, then that's why I'd recommend that you start with exam P. But it sounds like you've already started studying for exam FM, and I would not switch now. Keep going with exam FM. You're going to have to do it eventually anyway. So just keep going on that. If you're in the accelerator community, make sure you watch the video about study strategy and how to study for an actuarial exam. And lastly, after you pass exam P and FM, your third exam should be IFM. Okay, that was one question. I'm going to take two more. Okay, so Marcus said, what if we don't generally know a lot of people very well? Okay, so I'm guessing you probably know more people than you think you do. So think about all your friends, all your colleagues, all your family, all the people you went to school with throughout the years. There's just so many people that you know. I'm sure it's over 100 people. Now, if you think that if you have 100 people that you know, some of those people are probably already going to be working in insurance companies, but it's almost guaranteed that some of the people they know will be working in insurance companies. So if you know 100 people and each of them know 100 people, I'm not going to do the math right now, even though I should be able to, but that's a lot of people. So even if you know someone that knows someone else, that can be really beneficial because people are fine making connections for others. And that's how you're going to grow your network. Even you could just ask other people you know if they know anyone that's working in an insurance company right now. And maybe you don't have to go and talk to them specifically about getting an actuarial job. You can just talk to people and ask for information. Just ask them. And a lot of people are willing to share their knowledge and their experience, and just be very thankful for any information they give you. Actually, in the accelerator community, there's a video with Ashley, and she got her job only based on LinkedIn. So she did LinkedIn networking. She reached out to someone purely for informational purposes. She just wanted information. That was her tip. Just ask for information. And that's just going to help create a rapport between you and other people. And be thankful for their time and don't overload them with questions, of course, but people are willing to share knowledge with you. And when you can get people talking and just have a friendly relationship, just talk to them. It's going to likely end up well, and that's going to be one more person you can add into your network. So this is something that, especially for actuaries, I feel like a lot of us are nervous to talk to people, and I am the same way. I'm not very good at making conversations with people. I suck at it. But especially with all the communications that we can do online now, it makes it easier because you don't actually have to think of what you're going to say to them on the spot. You have a little time to respond to them. You can think about what the best thing to say to them would be and all that kind of stuff. So this is something that you can start practicing and you'll get more comfortable with it. Just reaching out to people, asking them questions and that kind of stuff. It can help grow your network. And if you start now, then by the time, imagine in a year from now, how many more connections you will have, even if you just connect with 2 new people a day, or sorry, a week, 2 people a week. That's over 100 new connections in 1 year. So just try it, see where it goes. If you're in the accelerator community, make sure you watch the networking course. That will help you with all of this. Okay. One last question. The recording will be available on YouTube for about a week, but that's all. That's not the question I'm going to answer, but someone did ask if there's going to be a recording. Okay, so Tyler asked, would you consider teaching high school math to be a stepping stone position? How could I sell that experience as related? Okay, a lot of people do go from teaching math to an actuarial position. And actually, Tyler, if you are in the accelerator community, there's a really good interview with a prior math teacher. I'm going to show it to you really quickly. So under interviews with the pros, this interview here with Caitlin, she's a manager of actuarial sciences now at her company. And she was a math teacher before. She got tired of she started feeling like she was repeating herself over and over again. And it just became a repetitive job for her, the teaching math. So that's when she decided to get into an actuarial career. And yeah, that's an interview you can watch and I think you'd really enjoy it. Oops. So it's definitely related. I think I don't think there definitely are positions that are more closely related to the actuarial career, but it is possible to make the jump directly from a math teacher into an actuarial role. So things you want to talk about are any types of analysis you've done on maybe student grades or different areas where students could improve, or your teaching methods, anything like that. Any times that you've used Excel is something that you want to include there. And just talking about how your communication skills are really good because of your math teaching abilities. Math is a complex thing to teach. There's a lot of really intricate concepts and all that kind of stuff. And it's valuable to actuarial employers if you're able to break down complex things and explain them to people that aren't very familiar with that topic. Because in actuarial roles, you're not just going to be working with actuaries. You're going to be working with underwriters, maybe the legal team. You're going to be working with IT, like the tech area of the company possibly, and just all sorts of different areas. So you have to be able to break down complex concepts and explain to them in words that they understand. So that in itself is a really good skill that math teachers tend to have. Hopefully that helps a bit, Tyler. And also in the Resume Master course, I talk about all the different things that actuarial employers would be looking for and would find valuable. So if you go through that course, you're going to also be able to see if there are any other areas in your teaching career that you may be able to make a connection back to actuarial work. It's really, really, really important that whenever you put anything on your resume, you show how it's relevant to actuarial work and make it relevant to actuarial work. Okay. All right, so that is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for coming. If you're not in the Actuary Accelerator community already, I would love to have you join. many of you already have. I think the 40 are probably gone by now, but the 40 coupon codes. So originally I had 40 free months coupon codes for members or people that registered for this workshop, but the majority of them are gone before we even started. So I will put that link into the chat to get your free month if there are any left. You'll have to just fill it out, put in the coupon code, and if it still lets you pay, then there are still spots available. But if it doesn't let you sign up with that coupon code, and maybe it will say expired or something, then that means they're all gone. All right. Oh, there's none left. Sorry, guys. You can, of course, join at $39 per month. The free month is there, of course, for the members that joined early, but you can join at full price. I would love to have you. I think it can make a really, really big impact on your career. It's going to help you get a job sooner. So one thing you want to think about here is when you're comparing whether it's worth it or not. Usually actuarial positions are going to pay at least $4,000 per month, at least your first entry-level position. So if the accelerator community, me and everyone else that's in there, and all the resources, if they all help you get an actuarial job just 1 month sooner, that's $4,000 extra that you didn't have before or you wouldn't have had. So there's no way your total cost of being in the Actuary Accelerator community is going to add up to over $4,000. Of course, you're going to get a job before that. So I think it's worth your investment if you are serious about the career and just want to be surrounded by a whole bunch of other like-minded individuals that are doing this as well. Like, we talk about actuary stuff all the time. There's a WhatsApp group where we're just chatting and discussing different things, exams, getting jobs, resumes, all that kind of stuff. So I think this can make a huge impact on your career, and I would love to have you. Okay, so thank you so much for coming. I hope this was valuable for you. Let me know in the chat if it was helpful. I would love to hear your feedback, and I hope to see you in the Accelerator community or on my next Q&A call or my next training, my next workshop. Okay, I hope to see you there. Bye for now, everyone.